few weeks ago, Dehancer reached out to me and asked if I'd like to try their Davinci Resolve Film Emulation plugin. Most film emulation plugins, color grading plugins, and LUT packs come with a way of transforming log footage, so we're going to start there. In my usual Red Komodo color grading workflow, I use Red's official Rec 709 conversion LUT. High contrast, very soft. Whilst this LUT does a great job of getting a pleasing and accurate image, I've started to prefer the results from Dehancer, which produces a slightly softer, more natural looking image. Dehancer does have a few tools for basic color correction, but I prefer to use the ones built into Davinci Resolve. But even when using Dehancer, it's still easy to do color corrections, as you can add nodes before the log conversion to correct the image, or you can use multiple Dehancer nodes to separate the log conversion and the film emulation stage. Then all you need to do is add your color correction nodes in between the two Dehancer nodes. The main selling point of the Dehancer plugin is the large number of film stocks to choose from, and how realistically they're applied. On Dehancer's blog, there's quite a bit of detail about how they recreate the film, by scanning the original film stocks and recreating the look digitally. This does go a bit over my head, as I don't understand analog film well enough to really appreciate what the Dehancer team has achieved. However, I can appreciate the results. The second part of Dehancer's film emulation workflow is the print profile section. This allows you to emulate the film into different formats, as if you were printing your edited film onto a film reel that would be projected at a cinema. There's an option to print onto a Cineon film log curve or into two different Kodak profiles. From my testing, Agfacolor XRS 200 is one of my favourite profiles for a subtle film emulation, especially paired with Kodak glossy print profile. It makes the colours a bit deeper, especially bright reds and greens, but it still preserves the overall look of the image and doesn't change as many aspects as some of the other film stocks. I'm also a fan of the Kodak Vision Free profiles. I'm not complaining about how strong some of the film profiles are. They do an excellent job of recreating the film stocks. However, I'm more interested in giving my footage a more pleasing aesthetic than I am in perfectly matching the look of old film stocks. If you've been watching my videos for a while, then you'll know I'm a fan of Hallation, as I often use a black pro mist filter to soften the highlights in my footage. The Hallation effect in Dehancer helps to separate it from a mere LUT pack. By simulating the red light bleed from film, it allows you to get the rich red tones that are often associated with old Hollywood movies. The Dehancer blog provides an in-depth breakdown of what the Hallation effect is and why it occurs in film stocks, but from a user perspective, the Hallation controls have two main uses. Firstly, it adds a red glow effect around bright light sources. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a fan of the look, as it really helps to hide any sensor clipping which can make an image look very digital. The other noticeable effect is that skin tones are slightly warmed, which can often make them look more natural and make them more visually pleasing. Another useful series of settings are the defringe controls. They allow you to remove the blue fringe that can be caused by cheap or vintage lenses, as well as lower quality optical filters. This is a necessary step if you want accurate Hallation results, as chromatic aberration will interfere with the red glow and push it more magenta. Bloom goes hand in hand with the Hallation effect, and when trying to perfectly recreate the aforementioned black pro mist look, it's a required step. It simulates the light bleed and gives the bright areas of the image a nice glow. Whilst I like the effect, I usually use it quite subtly, as it can start to overpower the image if it's used at higher settings. I don't use these features very often, but if it's your goal to replicate film more accurately than I do, then you'll definitely appreciate these features. The grain is procedurally generated, which means it changes based on the types of footage you use the plugin with, and that can make the grain look more realistic. Film breathing gate weave simulate the artifacts caused by film moving through a camera. Whilst these effects are too extreme for most of my uses, I think that they are useful tools if you want highly realistic film emulation. This is one of the most unique features in Dehancer, a digital recreation of a film correction tool. It allows you to add and subtract colours from an image, however it works differently to traditional colour wheels and bars. Those are digital tools, so they're based on RGB colours. However, Dehancer's colour head is based on analog film, so it uses CMY, cyan, magenta, yellow. If you want to change the colour balance of your footage, the film head offers a more film-like way of achieving this instead of the digitally based colour temperature and tint controls. Whilst this is a valid use case, I still prefer to balance out my footage with Davinci Resolve's built-in correction tools. What I like to use the colour head for is adding a colour cast into an image. I find the way the tool works makes it easier to achieve a natural looking colour tint, and I'm not as worried about making the footage look like it's been pushed around too much, which can happen with over-aggressive use of colour wheels. A feature that's very nice to have, the built-in false colour filter makes it easy to check the levels of skin tones and other areas of your image. It's another great tool to have when monitoring your image, right alongside Davinci Resolve's waveform and vector scope. The LUT output option is very useful if you want to load one of the film profiles onto a monitor to preview how your footage will look on set, or if you're doing visual effects work with log footage and you want to get a preview of how your shot will look after it's been graded. Over the past few weeks that I've been using Dehancer, it's become one of my go-to colour grading tools. If you're considering buying the plugin, here is my list of pros and cons. The plugin has a large number of film profiles, the colour head allows for easy colour shifts, the Hallation effect gives you nice warm skin tones that are very natural and very visually pleasing. The Hallation controls also make it very easy to remove any chromatic aberrations from your image. I've been very impressed with how well the plugin performs, and even when I've been working with Red RAW footage, it's barely slowed down my playback performance. The main con is the price, as the plugin is a bit expensive at just over £300. However, you can save 10% off using my affiliate code, which is in the description. If you want to find out more about the plugin, I recommend reading the Dehancer blog articles, as they're full of technical information about how the team created the plugin. If you want to see some more examples of Dehancer in action, there's also plenty of examples on the website.
Pretty.
I can't focus.
Look how pretty.